Hello my dear children. So today in this video we'll be going through the rest of the reading and explanation of the chapter. So let's begin. Uh, Para number 39. That was not the answer Rosa wanted. Her eyes widened. Nothing. Are you crazy? The knocking resumed. Papa was strict. Nothing. We don't even go down there. Not a care in the world. Children, not a care in the world means to have no worries at all. So, Nazis were at the door, and Liesel and her parents got no time to think to hide Max. So they decided to act normal and Hans said that they can distract the Nazi in many different ways. He also wanted to add something, but due to lack of time and stress, he just said nothing. Listening to just a word nothing from Hans, Rosa got disappointed as she was expecting some better plan from Hans. But he just said nothing. She unexpectedly asked nothing. Hans firmly said nothing. They never went down in the basement, he said, and asked her not to worry at all and act normal. If everything slowed down, Rosa accepted it, clenched with distress. She shook her head and proceeded to answer the door. Liesel, Papa warned. Just stay calm, understand? Yes, Papa. She tried to concentrate on her bleeding leg. Ah, so Rosa agreed and with fear and tension went to open the door. Hans warned Liesel to be calm and act normal, to which she agreed and tried to concentrate on her injured legs, which were really painful, and so she exclaimed, Ah. At the door, Rosa was still asking the meaning of this interruption. She was asking for the reason why they came there, why the Nazi came there. At the door, Rosa was still asking the meaning of this interruption when the kindly party man noticed Liesel. The maniacal football player, he grinned. Grinned means he smiled. How's the knee? You don't usually imagine the Nazis being too chirpy. Chirpy means being too cheerful and very lively. But this man certainly was. He came in and made as if to crouch and view the injury. Crouch means to bend down. Does he know? Liesel thought. Can he smell we're hiding a Jew? So Rosa opened the door and asked them the reason for coming to their house. While she was still asking them the reason for coming, the same kindly Nazi man who met Liesel when she hurt herself on the street recognized Liesel and addressed her as maniacal football player and asked her how was her knee. That behavior of the kindly Nazi was quite different from other Nazis. Unlike other Nazis, he was very cheerful, lively, and happy-go-lucky kind of person. The general impression people had of Nazis was that they were ruthless and grim, set on doing their job without any humane feeling. But this man was totally different from those Nazis, smiling while teasing Liesel and showed concern for her bleeding knee. He was a kind of father at heart, though he may be doing the duty of a party man. He behaved in such a way that it seemed he would bend down in front of Liesel to look at the injury. Liesel didn't recognize the Nazi man and thought, and seeing him so friendly and kind, she thought if he knew her or he could smell that they were hiding a Jew there at their home. Papa came from the sink with a wet cloth and soaked it into Liesel's knee. Does it sting? Sting means to feel pain. His silver eyes were caring and calm. The scare in them could easily be mistaken as concern for the injury. So basically, they were scared because they were hiding a Jew and they were scared of being caught, but it could be mistaken. Anyone could think That the scare in them was just because of the concern for the injury of their daughter. Rosa called across the kitchen. It can't sting enough. Maybe it will teach her a lesson. The party man stood and laughed. I don't think this girl is learning any lesson out there. Fru Haberman, I think she teaches lesson to all those boys. Am I right, young girl? So while Liesel was thinking about the Nazi, her father came from the sink with a wet cloth to wipe the stains of the blood from the injury. He asked Liesel if it was paining, to which Rosa, her mother, from the kitchen, showing herself unaffected by the presence of Nazi and acting normal, replied that it won't pain much and might be it would teach her some lesson not to play such games with boys outside. The partyman laughed at what Rosa said and mockingly said that he didn't think that Liesel was learning any lesson. Instead, she was the one who taught lessons to all those boys. Papa shoved the cloth into the injury and Liesel winced rather than answered. Winced means it is expression to show pain. It was Hans who spoke, quite sorry to the girl. There was the discomfort of silence then, and the partyman remembered his purpose. If you don't mind, he explained, I need to inspect your basement just for a minute or two to see if it's suitable for a shelter. Papa gave Liesel's knee a final dab. Dab means a light touch. You'll have a nice bruise there too, Liesel. Casually he acknowledged the man above them. Certainly. First door on the right. Please excuse the mess. So just when Liesel was going to answer, Hans rubbed the cloth onto the injury, which was quite painful for Liesel. And instead of answering to the Nazi man, she winced, to which Hans apologized. After a few minutes of silence, the partyman remembered his purpose of going there. He then asked Hans to inspect the basement for a minute or two to look if it could be used as air raid shelters. Hans, giving final touch to Liesel's knee, said to her that she would get mark on the place of her injury, and then casually showed the way to the basement to Nazi man, telling him first door on the right, and asked for excuse for the mess created by Liesel's injury. I wouldn't worry. It can't be worse than some of the others I've seen today. This one? That's it. The longest 3 minutes in Haberman history. So the Nazi man said that he wouldn't mind, as he had seen many worse things and that little mess was nothing for him, and then confirmed the way for the basement. That when he went down the basement, he took 3 minutes, and that 3 minutes was the longest 3 minutes for Habermans, because it was the 3 minutes for stress, 3 minutes for anxiety. Then didn't know what will happen next, and they were sure if they get caught they will be punished very badly, and so they were very much nervous, and so the time seemed very long for them. Papa sat at the table. Rosa prayed in the corner, mouthing the words. Liesel was cooked, her knee, her chest, the muscles in her arm. Here it means she was in a very bad condition. She was physically hurt, everything was in pain, and also she was struggling mentally. I doubt any of them had the audacity to consider what they'd do if the basement was appointed as shelter. Audacity means willingness to take bold step. They had to survive the inspection first. So the atmosphere was of extreme tension and everyone was panicked. The Hans sat on the table waiting for the Nazi to complete his measurement. Rosa prayed in the corner for everything goes well, and Liesel's condition was worst. She was mentally as well as physically. And according to author, they didn't have any courage to think of what would happen if they get caught, what the Nazis would do to them if they get caught, or what they would do if the basement would be appointed as shelter. But anyhow, first they had to survive the inspection. They listened to Nazi footsteps in the basement. There was the sound of measuring tape. Liesel could not ward off the thought of Max sitting beneath the staircase to the basement, huddled around his book, hugging it to his chest. Papa stood. Another idea. He walked to the hall and called out, "Everything good down there?" The answer ascended the steps on top of Max Wadenberg. "Another minute, please. Would you like some coffee, some tea?" "No, thank you." So, as they were waiting anxiously for the Nazi man to finish the measurement, they heard his footsteps and measuring tapes from the basement. Liesel imagined Max sitting scared down there under the staircase to the basement, holding and hugging his sketchbook tightly to his chest. Hans stood up with another idea of distracting the Nazi man. He walked to the hall and asked him if everything was okay in the basement, to which he got reply that it would take one more minute. Ascended to the steps means a reply came up through the stairs and from top of Max, as Max was hiding under the stairs. Then Hans again offered him tea or coffee to distract him, which he politely refused. When Papa returned, he ordered Liesel to fetch a book and for Rosa to start cooking. He decided the last thing they should do was sit around looking worried. "Well, come on," he said loudly. "Move it, Liesel. I don't care if your knee hurts. You have to finish that book, like you said." Liesel tried not to break. "Yes, Papa." When Hans came back after talking to the Nazi man, he ordered Liesel to bring a book and asked Rosa to start cooking, and decided to sit around and wait for the Nazi man to finish his measurements. But then again, with his loud voice, he tried to distract the Nazi man. But this time he was talking loudly to Liesel, and was ordering her to finish reading a book. Liesel also took part in his acting and agreed. "What are you waiting for?" It took great effort to wink at her. Wink means to close and open one eye very quickly, usually as a signal to somebody. In the corridor, she nearly collided with the party man. "In trouble with your papa, huh?" "Never mind. I'm the same with my own children." So Hans strictly asked Liesel why wasn't she bringing the book and reading. It was just an acting, and it was very hard for Hans to wink at Liesel to make her understand or to give her signal. As she went to bring her book, she almost bumped into the party man. He asked Liesel if his papa was mad at her, as if he was angry with her, and comforted her to not mind, as all fathers were same, and he too was with his own children. They walked their separate ways, and when Liesel made it to her room, she closed the door and fell to her knees, despite the added pain. She listened first to the judgment that the basement was too shallow, then the goodbyes, one of which sent down the corridor. "Goodbye, maniacal football player." She remembered herself. That means goodbye. So both Liesel and Naziman walked to their own ways. Liesel went to her room to fetch book, and Naziman went to Hans. As soon as Liesel reached her room, she closed the door and sat down on her knees, which added more pain to her injury. But she focused on listening to the judgment made by Nazi man about the basement, that it was not so deep to be suitable for making shelter. And then he went off saying goodbye to everyone, including Liesel. Liesel then gained her senses and replied back to his goodbye. According to Papa, Rosa melted next to the stove the moment the party man was gone. They collected Liesel and made their way to the basement, removing the well placed sheets and paint cans that were hiding Max Vandenberg. Max sat beneath the steps, soaked in sweat and holding his rusty scissors like a knife. I wouldn't have used them, he quietly said. He held the rusty arms flat against his forehead. I'm so sorry I put you through that. Rosa took the scissors. You're alive, she said. We all are. So Hans saw Rosa taking a peaceful breath near the stove as soon as the party man left. They all moved towards basement to check Max. They removed the nicely placed sheets and paint cans that were hiding Max. He was drenched in sweat and was holding a rusty scissor for self-defense. But when he saw Liesel and her family, he said that he wouldn't have used scissors to attack and apologized the family for suffering because of him. To which Rosa, taking back the scissors, replied that he and everyone in her family was alive, and that was the most important thing. So, children, that was it. I hope you've understood the chapter and try doing the exercise given at the back of your chapter. Thank you.